Hi, class. Can you hear me?
Yes, Professor.
Wonderful, wonderful. Good. It seems to me most of us are set for the group. So what I will do now, and this is your last chance to join a group. Otherwise, you're out of group and you're done for the assignments. So if you're not joining or you're not setting up yourself to join, then please don't send me an email saying, I don't know my group. So I will give 5 minutes from now. Just write on the message there, talk among yourself, and whomever is out of the group, announce himself, and whomever has 4 people in his group, or 5, 4 people. Announce here. So these 2 people who is out of the group, they can join your team. So please, I will give 5 minutes from now, and everybody who is out of the group, just write here, because you're not using the other tools that I gave properly, which is, I understand. Eventually you will. It is all a startup. So please make announcement on the chatting to everybody that I don't have a group, I don't know my group. So at least you can talk to somebody who can guide you or join you, tells you that they are 4 or 5, and they can have number 5 or number 6. Okay? Please start up writing.
Sorry.
करना चाहते हो तो आप फिर जाकर लिखें।
So we also have one more member, Mr. Joe Singh. अमन भाई लिख दे इत्थे अमनदीप सिंह जो सिंह भी आ ਉਹਦੀ ਆਈਡੀ ਭੇਜ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਜੋ ਦਾ
हेलो
हेलो
ਹਾਂ ਭਾਈ ਕਿਦਾਂ
हाँ जंटे
ਓਏ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸ ਦਿਓ ਯਾਰ ਆਪਣੇ group ਦਾ
और जो सिंह 4299803 पाड़ी है
Hi, class. Now, we have tried to give you a few tools to adjust to it. So to find out your group. So this is the option. If you are 2 or you are 6, I will give you the same load of assignment. If you're so I will expect you to do the quality of 5 to 6 people. So if you're 2 and you choose to be 2, I'm expecting you to do a quality of 5 people to 6 people. So don't stay 2 people and you will do a work of 6 people. So that would be very difficult for you. So if you're staying with the 2 people, then please find a group that they have 4, and then you guys 2 add together, becomes 6. Or if you cannot, add 1 here and 1 here. But this is the last time we will talk about setting up the groups. Now, as I said, there is options. You always can go to the Padlet, Facebook that's created, make announcement. I'm sure you have some contacts within your class, and they can talk. They can allocate you. So this is part of the education that you need to find your own resources. I will guide you through allocating these resources, but I would not just put you there. You know what I mean? So this is why I'm now, and I announced that in the last forum, I said, here's the 4 links. If you go through all these 4 links, you will be updated. So this is where we need to move on with the class. We cannot, spend 4 or 5 classes just allocating groups or talk different things. So we need to find, if you're 5 or 6, that's fine. But if you stay as 2 people, I will give you a work of 5 or 6. And I'm expecting you to do a work of 5 or 6. So you don't want to carry the load of 5 or 6 people and you are only 2. And that's it's up to you. So if you're not allocating your group, then I give you all the tools, and these tools is at your hand to utilize. Now, when you go to a Padlet, please announce under your Padlet. Some of you guys went to the entrepreneurship class and announced that, oh, we are 4 people, and nobody knows which group you are. You go on the Padlet where there is, I wrote there, it's marketing research Padlet, and you click there and you write things, whatever you want to this class. So if you're in my entrepreneurship class and you are in my marketing research class, if you have something about entrepreneurship, you click on the Padlet of entrepreneurship and do that. And if you are in my class for the marketing research, you do your announcement regarding that marketing research. No, I don't. I do understand, but I don't speak it perfectly. You see, some people thought that I'm an East Indian. I'm sorry, I'm Indian. I'm proud that you think that. But I am Iranian, Persian. I speak Persian, which is Farsi. I speak Arabic. I used to speak Turkish, Romanian, beside English, and for a while I used to speak Spanish. But right now I am pretty good in English, Farsi, and Arabic. So let's communicate in English if you don't mind. That's easier for everybody to understand. Now, so this is the group. Now, the next thing that is required is the fact that next class you will have a quiz, and the quiz will be answer any 4 out of 5 questions, and you have, we'll see, probably 40 minutes. And the second thing I'm looking at is that you will send me as a group and your proposal for the assignment. And as a group, you will tell me that what's your proposal for the assignment, final assignment, and I will explain that in the subject that you're going to write about it. And now, please don't unmute yourself if you are not having a question. So I will always going to keep you that you have this option of doing it. But if you keep repeating it, I need to ask you to leave the class, which is I will make you leave the class. So if you are unmuting yourself, please ask a question. Now, so the assignment, it's about basically would be two part. First part, you're going to tell me the subject of the marketing research that you're going to do about what product or something like that, or what service. And then you need to let me know who is your group. And this is, you will stick with it as a final assignment for doing your marketing research. Now today, I will write this. The quiz is coming next week. It will be answering 4 questions out of 5. And you will get a 40 minutes. Each question you spend 10 minutes on it to write the answer. And it's not gonna be, you're gonna be based on your understanding of the material and the book. Now I will supply you with my presentation, and will upload the class on YouTube channel, and I will answer any question that you have. You can write it to me, or you can post it on the Padlet on the site of your course. You go to on that site and post your question. You could, a student can answer it, any one of you can answer it, or I will answer it. It doesn't matter for me. As long as you have a question, you can have it there posted. So you have so many tools in your hand right now. You can utilize them for all type of wonderful communication between each other and with me. And all these tools can help you, or application can also help you to, move smoothly, help the class to move smoothly in this journey. So these are the two things. Next week, I will look at the that you already said that you will have a quiz. And the second thing, you need to submit your proposal on the assignment that you're going to work on it to do a marketing research. And once you do this proposal, only a subject saying, I'm going to do a research on this product or this service in Canada or for India. So doesn't matter, but as long as you can do this. I think we are clear in this. Feel free, add anyone if you are, maximum numbers that I'm looking in each group is 6. It's up to 6. If you are less than 6, I will give you a work of 6 people or 5 people. And if you're willing to do a work of 5 people and you are only 2, by all means, do it. But I will not look at you at 2 people. I will look at marking a group. So this is why it's a group work, is very important. So please, once again, utilize the applications, the apps, the Alpha College has provided you with forms to chat with each other and to chat with me. I provide Alpha, you can use the Yammer that I created, and you have Alpha provided you with Microsoft, so you can utilize it. There is a Padlet, you can utilize it, and other tools like Facebook that some of you have added. Keep in mind, I might be sometimes looking very detailed on your activities, and your activities in not only in this class, it should be transparent in all the tools that we have. So I raised the questions, and I will uh, put some questions sometimes on a Padlet, and I need you not to be anonymous. Write down your name and tell me what's your answer. So I will take it into consideration when I'm doing a group work, when I evaluating class participation, when I'm correcting your quizzes and your tests and your exams. So these are all will be taken into consideration once I'm marking it. Okay. So without further ado, let's do very quick a few videos, because every time we do these announcements, it takes so much times and effort from our mostly focus, because I need you to write questions, participate in the class, write any question that you have in mind. Don't worry about it. There is no bad or good questions about the subject, and feel free to ask me and stop me anytime. The chat is always open, so I look at the chat. And also, if you want to talk, unmute yourself anytime you want to. So I will play a short videos that it will connect you from the last class to move you smoothly to the next class. And uh, let's have fun. Okay. This class, this one, we start this one and then we go back to the other video.
When organizations enter into strategic planning, they conduct different types of relevant research and analysis. As part of this process, marketers talk about collecting secondary and primary data. Let us list the learning goals for this video.
Excuse me, sir, we can't hear it. There's no sound in the video.
Situation.
Can you hear it now?
Gather information from their own financial
No, sir.
Okay.
They could visit the company's
Apologize.
websites.
Okay. Let me do a testing. Test. Okay. What about?
Social media
Can you hear
sites,
now?
and perform online searches to collect information about the different competitors' online presence and communications.
No, sir.
They could also access TripAdvisor or similar platforms to find out how
Okay.
customers review the competitors. We call this type of research secondary or desk research. So let us take a look at the characteristics of secondary data. Secondary data has not been created or published for the benefit of the French café's competitor analysis. It has originally been created for a general purpose, aimed at a variety of people or businesses. Secondary data is already out there, just waiting to be found and explored. The benefits of secondary data is that it is usually relatively quick, easy, and low cost to obtain. However, the disadvantage of secondary data
Yes,
is
sir.
that
Now
the
we can hear
information
you.
is
Okay.
not targeted directly at French Cake's specific information needs. Now let us imagine that French Cakes would like
Oh, okay. It is important. Uh, video on YouTube. So I will replay it again. So if you cannot hear it, please write to me so I can, send you the link. There might be something wrong with the system or okay. It's my fault. So let me share the screen again. I think now you can hear.
When organizations enter into strategic planning, they conduct different types of relevant research and analysis. As part of this process, marketers talk about collecting secondary and primary data. Let us list the learning goals for this video. Firstly, the goal is to establish a connection between primary and secondary research and the rest of the research, analysis, and strategic planning process. Secondly, the goal is to gain an understanding of what primary and secondary data is, the pros and cons of each, and how we can conduct these two types of research. So let us begin. When organizations enter into strategic planning, they conduct different types of research and analysis. They might conduct both secondary and primary research. They would consider using qualitative and/or quantitative research and different survey types. They would check the quality of their research data by critically applying the terms validity and reliability. The gathered data might be used in a process of conducting different analysis. Internal analysis, which could include a look at the company accounts, current business model, core competencies, and others. And external analysis such as PEST, Porter's 5 forces, competitor analysis, and others. And ultimately, they might summarize all their research in a SWOT analysis. This might be followed by a Towers model in order to identify several strategic options to choose between. This will enable them to make informed strategic decisions about which direction to take. Primary and secondary research is what we will address in this video. So what is primary and secondary research? And how could we go about collecting these two types of data? Let us use an example. This cafe is located in a large city, close to a busy high street. It is called the French Café, and it specializes in serving high-quality cakes and desserts. The French Café is experiencing increasing competition from both existing competitors and new cafes opening up all around the area. Motivated by his curiosity to find out more about the competitors, the owner of the French Café has decided to do some research. So what kind of information could the French Café collect? They could access business databases to find details about each competitor, such as their financial results. And some commercial industry databases open for more detailed company information at a fee. To compare with their own internal situation, they could gather information from their own financial accounts. They could visit the competitors' websites, social media sites, and perform online searches to collect information about the different competitors' online presence and communication style. They could also access TripAdvisor or similar platforms to find out how customers review the competitors. We call this type of research secondary or desk research. So let us take a look at the characteristics of secondary data. Secondary data has not been created or published for the benefit of the French Café's competitor analysis. It has originally been created for a general purpose, aimed at a variety of people or businesses. Secondary data is already out there, just waiting to be found and explored. The benefits of secondary data is that it is usually relatively quick, easy and low cost to obtain. However, the disadvantage of secondary data is that the information is not targeted directly at French Cake's specific information needs. Now let us imagine that French Cakes would like to obtain some information which is targeted specifically at their own information needs. They could design a suitable questionnaire and interview customers. They could invite customers for a focus group interview. They could set up specific goals in their Google Analytics to track on their website how users interact with their online booking feature, and they could track social media interactions. They could also carry out other observations of customers' behavior, both on their website and in their cafe. This type of research is called primary or field research. So let us take a look at what characterizes primary data. Primary data is generated specifically for us and for our specific purpose. Primary data is not already out there in the form that we require it. We could argue that the online behavioral data already exists, but French Cakes is now setting up specific filters to track and show an exact behavior. The benefit of primary data is clearly that it is targeted specifically to our individual needs. However, the disadvantage is that it is relatively time-consuming, complex to carry out, and therefore also relatively costly. So what is best? Secondary or primary research? In our example, French Cakes would have to decide whether or not the secondary information they could gather would be sufficient to make decisions upon, or whether they're in need of more targeted information. A need for targeted information would create the need for conducting primary research. In that case, French Cakes would have to consider the different kinds of information they could collect via primary research, and whether or not they have both the time, the money, the people and the skills required to carry out relevant primary research. No two cases are the same, but if time, money and competencies allow, a combination of secondary research and carefully designed primary research is often the optimal solution. As marketers, we would usually recommend conducting the secondary research first and primary second. This is to make sure we spend our resources wisely. We have now established a connection with the rest of the research, analysis and strategic planning process, and subsequently we have used an example to illustrate what primary and secondary research is We have highlighted the pros and cons of each and how we can conduct these two types of research. If you want to learn more about research analysis and strategic planning, or about other marketing related subjects, then
Okay. This is the primary and the secondary research that we spoke about it last week, and we will continue this week with the same subject, but we're going to go deeper with this subject. Now we will be talking in this class mostly about which is a chapter 4 about quantitative and qualitative and type of quantitative and qualitative research. So we said that, and the video also said that there is two part of the research. There is the primary and the secondary research. And we spoke about it last week, and we said you need mostly focusing on the secondary research, which is it's the data is there available online for you to dig in. But there is the primary research, which is you need to do poll, questioning, different type of that. So we will explain further about that. Now, because you cannot meet other people outside, you can do different things, which is one of the things that you can do is, let me, you can do probably other group of your class to this primary research. So without further ado, we will probably utilize, we're going to go with this, trying to start with the chapter 4, and then we will keep going on. Now, I just want to know if anybody can hear me. If anybody cannot hear, just let me know, please. The first thing in this chapter 4, we'll talk about exploratories and observation, research design, and data collection approach, how we do data collections. And we would be identifying the major difference between quantitative and qualitative. So keep in mind, in a primary and secondary data, there is a quantitative approach and there is a qualitative approach research. And we will try to understand different type of primary data in this class. We will define a focus group and explain how to conduct them, and discuss proposed communities, which is you will be doing some of it within your class or schoolmate. So you will do some focus group or survey questions. We will explain different type of other qualitative data collections, such as ZIMET, ethnographic case studies, ethnography, and we will talk about the observations, how it's done, and utilizing the social media monitoring. We'll explain that also. So it's basically apologize for. It's basically we will. It's used to used in exploratory research design. It may be sufficient, the quantitative, but sometimes a qualitative or quantitative, but sometimes is need to gives a feedback or a mix of it. So sometimes we do a quantitative research, and these research are good enough to answer our requirement, and it's a different style. And sometimes we go with a qualitative, and sometimes we get a quantitative research, and we want to dig in deeper to get more information. So we feed it with a qualitative research. Now, so as we said, some topics are best understood using a qualitative research, and some of them use it as a quantitative. And occasionally, as we said, is used as a follow-up, a quantitative research. So we done our quantitative, and we find a phenomena answer, and we want to understand much better about it. So we go with the qualitative research. Now, the major types of design, when we do it's exploratory, and it's provide the insight to better understanding the problem, as we said, or descriptive, and provides information that answer research questions, and the casual one, which is cause and effect relationship. Marketing research select the type of research design based on the research objective. So, so as we said in the last class, you need to set up the research objective, what you are looking for. And these are the options that you have between the three to get to this answer. So we said in the primary data, or the difference between primary data and secondary data. When we do a primary data, we need to set up the objective, what we are looking for before we set up the questionnaires, and what kind of tools we are using. So here's the quantitative research emphasize the use of formal standard questions. Yes or no, just what we did in pool. Could be a multiple choices, could be a numbers. It's emphasize a formal standard question and predetermined options. So now when I share the pool, as you saw that certain percentage said yes, certain percentage says no. This is type of quantitative research. Now, if I wanted to know how come these two people that they didn't find a group, then I probably will send a qualitative research to feed on these two, why these two people, and it would be asked the whole group, why why these two people were not able to find a group, or with these three people. So the qualitative research is a collection of data in the form of text, writing, or images, and usually open questions. So the question would be, why you think these two people were not able, or how did you collected how did you became a 5 members? So everybody might have a different question, answers to these questions. Then from that, I drive my my analysis from it. So it's a use an open-end question, observation, or found a data. So if they say, okay, we used 90% said I used Padlet to set up my group. So I know, driven from that, I know these probably two people who did not join a group, maybe they did not use the Padlet. If everybody said we use the Padlet, or if they said we use the Alpha form site to collect it. So it is a qualitative to dig deeper on the information. And the answer is back a more open-end questions. Now, the difference is that it's the goal and the objective. In this qualitative method, we are trying to discover, identify, and new ideas, thoughts, feeling, primary understanding of relationship or understanding or hidden information that psychologically not there. And by writing, you might be one of the options is by writing the answers, you might be finding this information. But in the quantitative, we wanted to validate the fact. So we already have something in our mind. We just wanted to validate. So I have, for example, that I know for a feeling that most of you guys are, it's not the first year in the Alpha College. So I send the second pool asking how many you are in the second year. And that's, I'm just validating the fact that I have in my mind and do the estimation. The qualitative is kind of exploratory. So you want to explore the, the situation, you want to understand. And the second is casual, mostly casual, to connect things together. As I said, it's open-end questions, the qualitative, and but the quantitative is always structured. So it's like a yes or no, multiple choices, or you tick in things. And most of you guys, when we went shopping or you had went to restaurant, you found this quantitative part. And in the end, they probably ask you a question to put some qualitative, but the quantitative, it was because they had, was the food good? How you rate this? And all these questions, it was quantitative because they wanted to see, they calculate the mean, calculate how people are satisfied. So these are quantitative. And all these are driven for the collecting a primary data, which is part of your project, will be collecting primary data through, unfortunately, through the internet with your group. So the group might not be very big. You might ask other groups to answer or share these questionnaires. So the qualitative usually is a very short, half an hour writing or focus group, but in the quantitative, you have a longer time, and the more the people is answering, the more you get to the right mean of the answer, the right answer. So the bigger is the group, the better for the quantitative to answer this question. In the qualitative, usually you have between 8 to 12 people. In the quantitative, it has to be a large sample for doing that. But in your case, because you cannot do a large sample, I will accept a small sample as long as you can show me that you know the difference between qualitative and quantitative, and you derive your answer from that. They are qualitative, subjective, content analysis. It's an open thing. There on the quantitative is a statistical. 5 said yes and 2 said no. That's when I shared the pool, the percentage. That was a statisticals. There is a prediction and there is a casual on it. Now, the type of the analysis, it's basically debriefing, subjective content analysis. Now, the research skills here, where you want somebody who is really very skillful to do that, into the field of sociology, psychology, anthropologies. They are specialized or have a combination and understanding to write the right questions and to share these questions. On the other hand, this quantitative, you need to have somebody, statistician or mathematician, who can drive the means and the mode and all these things. Analysis is a number focus. Um, they are qualitative is a very limited, but on the other hand, the quantitative is generally very good, but in the fact, and it is more fact and relationship. If they, you need to have a big sample to have it very important, good of it. This is would be the second slide, and then we will take a break after that. The advantage of qualitative research, it is data can be collected very quickly and may already exist. There, the disadvantage of the the advantage. Let's go through the richness of the data in the qualitative. It also the accuracy of recording the market, the behavior, the validity, because they are, writing or a focus group. There is you can take some validities into this activities, and it can help in getting the inside knowledge, inside scale measurement for something that cannot be done through the quantitative. But it is there is lots of bias in it. So the disadvantage, it might be the researcher going through some bias information, and they are has a low reliability in it. Let me give you an example. Before they discovered heart run studies, in I think in a GM Motors, what they did, they put people at work, and they gave them more lights, and this group was producing more. And they put the other people in a different group, and they give them less light, and they were producing more. And they put a third group in somewhere else, and they were producing regular lights, and they were producing more. So in the three cases, they were producing more. Now, if they did not go back and dig more information about what causing that, and if they only use, let's say, putting a group in a regular and putting a group in a more light, and they said, and they saw that they are producing more, then what will happen? They will come up with a result saying, oh, more lights, the team will be produced more. So this is a low reliability in it. It's not very valid. But when they notice that in any case you put them, then they had to go to Harvard researchers to find out what's causing the more production. So they were trying to conduct the primary data collections, and then they found out that it's actually is not the lighting help the people to produce more. The feeling that they've been watched by people, by others, help them to produce more. So if you're not careful with the way of collecting qualitative research, you might be driving a different not wrong theory from hypothesis that you built already. So your hypothesis says, if I put them in more light, they will produce more. And then you take a group and you put them in a more light and you see them produce more. So it says, okay, my hypothesis is right. So let me build a theory saying if you put them in more light, they will produce more. But that wasn't the case. They were lucky to put others in a less light and they saw them produce more. And the same group who were in regular lights, they were producing more. They found out what they were researching, it wasn't collecting, they were looking for collecting primary data. They found out that is not reliable. So the difficulty to find a well-trained investigators, interviewers, and observers, that's where is the main thing. So the investigators, observer quality that they have, it's very important to take a good qualitative research. But the problem, as I said, is depend of how we interpret the finding. Let me give you an example. If you walk in a dark room and there is a big elephant and you don't know it's an elephant, so you touch his nose and you say, oh, I just touched an hose because and then you touch his ears and you go back and says, the different person says, no, that was some piece of, a fan lying there. So in the dark room, you cannot, it's a subjective, it's depend of what you feel about which part you touched of the elephant. But once you see the total elephant, then you say, okay, I touch the ears of the elephant. I touch the nose of elephant. So this is the difference between objective and subjective interpretive skills. So the quality of researchers is a very important to have a very good advantage of qualitative research. Now, we will take, say, 5, 10. We'll be back at 20 minutes after 14. So we will take 13 minutes of break. And I'll see you. I'll see you at 20 after 20 after 2. So we will back. To 20. Okay, we're back from the break. I hope by now, as I said, 5 to 6 group is 5 to 6. If you have any question, please write to me. I will answer them. So if you are less than 5, you want to be in the safe zone is become 5, but you can add one more, so it becomes 6. That's okay. So please set up your group. Now, let's continue what we left on in the last class before the break. So we spoke about the fact that there is 2 types of data collection. There is a secondary and there is a primary. We said that the primary is when you do if the secondary is not enough, and then the type of the primary data it is 2 types, quantitative and qualitative data. So we explain about the differences between quantitative and qualitative, and we said that the fact that the advantage and disadvantage of the qualitative data. Now, to continue, as we said, is it has to be in when you do a qualitative data is you have to have a well-trained interviewers as participant to set a semi-structured question. So because this is open-end questions to collect the data. Now, interviewer require also a personal skills to open up to make the group set up to answer these questions. It could be different offending questions, non-offending questions. There are so many things that the team who's answering this question might be biased and answering it in a way. So he has to have a good person, set up before open this question, open this communication, and has to have a good listening skills. So the steps in the doing a qualitative research is, first of all, he has to understand the initial questions and the problems. What's the problems? What's these questions? What kind of problems will solve if we get the answer? And then we create the questions in a way to drive us to come in a conclusion to solve the problem. Or it could be, as we said in the last class, could be an hypothesis that you're building. So you want to drive this yes or no, the hypothesis. And it also needs to determine the environment for interview. So it could be in a class, face-to-face, online, talking to somebody, or different people in a different group. They are communicating. So in your case, probably you might want to have an access to one person in another group and tell them, well, can you share these questionnaires with your group and get back to answers? So this is my to collect, or you might send it to somewhere overseas and to collect these answers, or can have an open end questions where people are writing, or you can interview them to find out about it. Now, so these are the skills. So also you need to select and screen the respondents. So if you are looking at, for example, somebody who is, I don't know, buying an expensive car or expensive watch, you don't go to, I don't know, downtown of or run out places where you ask them, would you buy a Rolex or would you buy a Mercedes? Because they don't have even the budget to say yes or no. So they might say yes, but when it comes to the answer, well, when you will buy, and he's answering it, and then you find out he doesn't have even an income. So you need to select and screen the respondents and get very, very important. And then they greet the respondents also. You give them a guideline, tell them these questionnaires is for this purpose is done, and please answer it with one sentence, or answer as much as you can, write whatever you should. And also it should be the interviewers should be making the atmosphere easy, and once you've done the interviews and you collected the information, you write the result of the report and start analyzing it. If you have reached a satisfaction level in getting your answers. But if you don't, you need to go deeper to conduct more interviews. So if somebody make a comment in the face-to-face interviews and he's not, you wonder how come he made this comment, you go deeper. So you say, okay, you ask more questions to find out why he made such a comment. It's usually the responses to open-ended question, as we said, collected from a small group, between 8 to 12 people, the group would be. And online research in which the participant agreed to post regular over a period of 4 to 5 days. So you can put the question in online and whomever can walk in and answer these questions. You might do it on your Facebook and you just put the questionnaires and ask the people to answer the question. So with the reply, they will write it and then you find out how you're gonna you drive your information. The three phases of process, so you need to do a planning on a focus group, and basically planning to focus group studies, conduct a focus group discussion, and analyze the and report the result of it. The factors that you need to consider is a focus group participant, who's participant there or participating in that, selecting a recruitment of the participant. So you might be selecting out of 100, 8 people or 12 people who you think they are very well fit to the segment that you are targeting. And as I said, it should not be more than 12, less than 8. And focus group location, is it in a class, in a city? Where is the location for these focus group online? So it's depend on how it's done. Focus group moderator use the moderators guys to ensure that the discussion is productive. So if it's an open question and the group start adding information back and forth, then it is needs to do a moderator guide. Whomever went to saw an example that I did in a Padlet. I was standing outside, so I saw 2 birds sitting there, and I took a picture of them and I put it in the Padlet, asking a question: which bird do you think is a market researcher, and which bird is an entrepreneur? And some of you guys have answered. Whomever taken the course with me in the entrepreneurship, they answered these questions, and was a it is the discussion was very productive. So somebody said, okay, this bird is entrepreneur, that bird is market researcher. Then I asked why, and this is where we drove some information. So I was if you look at me, I was the moderator, and the others were the focus group, the group who said their opinion, gave their opinion, and there was no wrong or right answer. There was a justification answer. So if you're not answering why you chose that, then that will be the wrong answer. But if you chose any one of them and you justified it, then that's how it's done. Now there will be lots of such things on Padlet, and also probably sent through the forms to you guys to share the knowledge that you have with me. Debriefing the analysis, research and moderators discuss the subject responses to the topic that outlined the focus group session and the content analysis. So the researcher the would need to get, if it's different than the interviewer, the interviewer needs to debrief it to the researcher, and content and do a content, both of them, mostly the researcher will do a content analysis. So if we are assuming that somebody is doing research, primary data for 1,000 people, one person cannot do it. So he has a team who they are interviewers, and they go and interview people, and then they come and brief it for them, and tell the researcher, and he do the content analysis for that. Now, the advantage and the disadvantage. The advantage is the fact that you can stimulate new ideas. Once you have a focus group, they might share some ideas, some feelings, some thought, which is drives you to come up with a new product, new service, or just improve your product and services. Um, Foster understanding of the consumer behavior. As I said, they might, consumer tells you something, but subconsciously they have something in their mind. So you can, if you're a good interviewer, you can find out what they are, in their mind. Allow the client to participation, so they can participate. The client's giving you more information that you are, and instead of yes and no, you're giving him, he can participate very well with the situation, and bring together a hard to reach information, and that's where is the most important. If you're doing a quantitative research, yes and no, and sometimes there is an information that you don't know about it, but here you can dig more. You became like a psychologist or sociologist who get more information from the focus group. The disadvantage, you are doing it with only 12 people, so you cannot generalize the all things. And the reliability of the data is very limited. So it happened only those 12 people saying it that way, and not everybody. The other part of it is whether you trust the person who's doing the interpretation, and he doesn't have any bias or way of thinking. And you might end up the focus group doing a group thing, and they don't do an individual thing. And according to the psychology versus sociology, psychology is focusing on an individual thing, how one person get influenced by his thoughts, his outside. In the sociology, sometimes they look at the group thing, how one person could be thinking differently, but as a group, they might be acting differently. So you want to make sure that you are seeking their individual thoughts, or the question is, what if these group put together and became a group thing? Because sometimes the group thing is much different than individual thing, and you're fully aware of that. You are a different person when you are at home or your family, then you are a different person when you are with a group in your class. So it is, that's what you call a group thing. Now, there is two kind of community. There is a proposed communities when you do a focus group or a group, and there is a private communities. The private communities whose primary purpose is a research. So they do a focus on the research, but on online brand community that can be used like a such as mystarbucks.com. So you go there and you enter the information about this drink, or what do you feel about that one, and all these things. Please let me know if you have any question. You can always write, or unmute yourself to ask a question. Now I'm also looking at your participation in the Padlet, Yammer, and Facebook, and the forums that we have in for the class. So please also be active there. This is where we can share the knowledge and information and answer any questions also. So I will be maybe every once in a while upload something, just like what I did for the entrepreneur class, and a question that you would need to answer it, and everybody participate in it. The infographic is basically, it records the behavior in a natural setting to understand how the social and cultural influence affect the individual behavior and experience. So on a situation where you are observing somebody, you just want to see how they do behave in a certain social and cultural. As I said, once you are in a home, you behave differently. When you're a family, you behave differently. Once you are in a class, you behave differently. Once you're in a nightclub, you behave differently. So they want to see how these if, affecting. The participant observation behavior extend the observation of a behavior in a natural setting in order to fully experience the culture or the subculture context. You can see it now. It is what's happening in USA when people individual and they see a black person getting attacked, they just take a video and take a film. But if they are as a group, the same person might be going forward and separate or support this person who's getting attacked. So this is where the culture and subculture context. Now they are pushing to another set. They found out in the States that people are not really. They say we are not racist, but now they're pushing to the situation where they say if you're not defending against the racist people, then you are really part of racism. So they are making sure people start really being, if they see any racism, they stop it, and that's when you say, "I am not racist." So that's why they're pushing this social and behavior influence on it. On a case studies, you intensively investigate one or several existing situations. So it is similar to the current problem or the opportunity. So you go and say, okay, how this person is behaving in this situation, while in a different situation. Let's say he is driving his car, how he is behaving while he is walking on the street, and if he's in a car, when somebody is attacking him, how he's reacting when he's walking in the street, how he's reacting if he's with a group, how he's reacting if he's alone, how is he. This is different intensive investigation on one or several situations. Now, the types of projective technique is basically to enable a subject to project belief and feelings, is just to make sure you can take this belief and feeling toward it. And it's the type is written is the subject is present with a word, and you run to so many things. This type of the projective is that they write you a sentence and they tell you what do you think, or they give you a word and you say the next word right away. So they give you black, you say night. Give you white, they said you say dress. So they try to associate the word with your feeling. For example, they ask Dodge, then they said middle income, middle-aged man. They said Dodge Caravan. He said, well, person with a family. So Dodge Caravan family. So they know they can promote the Caravan as a family vehicle. They cannot promote it as, to the young generations, for example. So you associate word with word. There is a different type of research, and so the fact that to share emotion, that's a Zimmet research, and that encouraged the research participant to share emotion and subconscious reactions. You're not asked to do that. That's a very advanced way of doing research and technique. So as we said, you just put an association word by word, or they give you a sentence completion test. So they give you a sentence and you put your own word there. Now, when you do an observation research, you basically systematically observing and recording the behavior pattern of object, people, and other phenomena. So you might be observing the people when they walk in a Walmart, how they do the shopping, or you might observing the products on that line, on that shelf versus the other shelf as an object, or any other phenomena like when they say it's on sale, this product. So what's the phenomena that would happen? Now, uniqueness of characteristics of this observation, it has to be directness. So you have to observe it. It could be through a camera, or it could be you observing it, or you have an awareness of what you are looking for. So it's a very clear and it's very well structured. So and then it could be a type of observing mechanism there. For example, if you notice, there is some shopping centers where you go, they have an RFID, a lockup, and there's two things for this shopping cart that you're using. Is that the fact this cart cannot go further than where is the RFIDs, and when it goes further, it gets the tire lockup. But actually, when you're moving with this card around, they know where you are going as doing your shopping, so they associate that with the habituals of your shopping. So there is a different ways of doing it. So next time when you take a card and says RFID on it, know for two things they are using it. They are using it so you don't take it to your home or far away from the card from the shop center. And the second thing they want you to know, they want to know your moving behavior, how you do the shopping. So where they can put fast moving goods, a cheap, when they do an announcement for a cheaper product, or because these places, they could be more expensive than the other places. So if you have an aisle on the right side, and most of the people, once they go with their card, they go to the left side. So the aisle on the left side is more expensive to put your stuff on it than the aisle on the right side. So this is how they do find out how you move accordingly. Now, technology mediated observations is data collected through that uses of mechanical device, as we said, the card, for example, the scanning, the scanner-based panel. So there's many type of scanner-based models. One of them, as we said, when you go shopping and they use the scan to collect the price, they also use your behavior of shopping and identify your characteristics. The other thing is to have a barcode card, as we said. The scanner-based panel, and there is the technology media operation where you collect that uses of device. Researchers answer the following questions usually, and for selecting the observation methods, researchers need to answer these questions. What type of behavior are relevant to the research problem? So you might observe somebody and he has a multiple behavior, but what type of behavior it is that you are looking within the behavior of this individual. For example, you're looking for being a violence. So you just look at the violence within locations, for example, or you're looking at this person who's doing shopping. You look at when he passed beside certain products, how he behaves and he's passing beside certain product. I assume when the best things that you look at the single guys or single people, usually when they pass through the alcohol part, they behave differently than when they go through the milk aisle. How much data details of their behavior needed to record? How deep is he, how he's behaving, that you need to set it up. And what is the most appropriate setting? Is it natural? So he's just there, walks in shopping, or you just put him in the artificial situation where you create an environment where he walks in that environment, which is artificial, and start doing, observe his behavior. Um, Various methods of observing behaviors are evaluated in a way that issues that are considered is a setting available to observe the behavior event. So is the setting, is it's the right things, is it? So if he is, for example, walks in a store where the air condition is not working, and he's there to, you wanted to monitor his behavior in the, he's behaving different, and this is why you cannot, is it the setting normal for acting in this behavior? So if I'm walking to a store that there is not enough lighting or the air condition is not working, the way I'm doing the shopping is a different than if everything is a standard. So is the setting is right? To what extent are the behaviors, or if it is repetitive and frequently exhibited? So how often this person, these people, A, B, C, D, all these people who walked in, they do the same thing, or they do it a little bit different? Um, is it direct or structure is needed to observe the event? So at what degree you need to observe directly to see whether it's operating in this behavior or in a structured way. Now, as we said, the cost involved in determining and evaluating, this is one of the things, is usually the primary data is the qualitative research is a highly cost, could be very costly. And you could run to unethical way of doing things, because lots of people would not appreciate that you are, looking at them. So the overall, the observation and the benefit of the observation, accuracy of recording actual behavior, reduce many types of data collection, provides a detailed behavior of the data. It's difficult to do it for everybody and say, okay, this is how the people are doing, because you're observing very limited people or in a certain standard, and you're not looking at everybody in a different standard. And sometimes cannot explain the behavior or the event unless combined with another method. So if in this behavior, you wonder how come these people start producing more when the lights on, and if you don't do the lights dim and there is less, you see the people more producing also, then it's very difficult for you to say, to come to the conclusion saying watching them will be increasing their production. Is not the lights on and off, because if you say on a regular base the people are producing normal, and I turned on the lights and I saw the other group producing more than you, your observation is biased and it's not right. So you need a different method of doing why these people produce more than then you come up with a conclusion. The problem is setting up and record the behavior or the event. Okay. Let me see whether we can have okay, we don't have them. We just have these two almost finish there. The social media monitoring, and you're fully aware of the fact that we can do a social media monitoring, like a, they create your groups in a Facebook or in any social media, and you start monitoring their activities. Like you can use it also other medias. I don't know. You can utilize Twitters. You can utilize whatever is Instagrams, for example, and you create and you see people how they giving their feedback. So these are the issues that you can do. Apply the technology and extracting the quantities information, or you can put on a Facebook a question and see people how they are answering, and then you can monitor that part also. And ethnography requires deep engagement online community. So there is two groups. You can create a community, and then you see people are answering this question, or you can join as a participant observation, a group that fanatic about something like a motorbike. You join that group and start see how they are active and what they are saying in regard of the motorbikes. If you are planning to to produce or sell something for the motorbikers, so you can join the I don't know Harley Davidson group and see what they are talking about, and you can monitor them, or you can create a group and you see the groups how they are doing it. This is probably the last of the this chapter 4. The last announcement that I would like to make is in the next class, you will have a quiz, 5 questions, answer 4, and I'm expecting you in the end of the by next class. I'll get your assignment, and the assignment is made of 2 parts. First part, you're telling me who's your group, and the second part is you're telling me the subject that you're going to do a research about it. And because later on we will be developing more on driving how this research is being done. Is there any question? Okay. If you have any question, you can unmute yourself or and speak to us. Now, once again, for the attendance, the only way I do attendance is I go to the Zoom and download the attendance from there. You don't need to do any attendance. It is automatically recorded within a Zoom. Now, if you don't have a question, please feel free to leave. And you guys have a good day.